Hello. Welcome everyone to another Merriment Monday Live. Today we are focusing on anger management and how to navigate those moments when irritation and aggression can take over. We're going to look at a range of tools that can help you process and channel your anger in healthy ways. So we'll break down today's session in four main parts: understanding what anger feels like and how it shows up, how to shift your perspective and calm down in the heat of the moment, tools and techniques for releasing pent-up emotions, and ways to prevent anger from building up over time. So if you're new, I'm your host, Mary England. I'm a merriment maker and your coach here on the Merriment Making channel. And we talk about mental health and confidence and self-love and more. And I'm here to help you liberate your inner child, reconnect to joy, and embrace the things that make you weird and unique so that you can feel good and have fun and live life to the fullest. If you want to discuss your specific needs and issues, you can check out how to work with me at uncustomary.org. I've also got classes, trainings, pep talks, good news texts, happy mail, podcast episodes, printables, books, workbooks, decks, inspiration hotline, and of course my signature Merriment Makers membership, which encompasses almost all of these things all together. Hi Lydia. Lydia is also in the Merriment Makers membership. So the link to join is in the description below, and I'm also on social media at Merriment Maker. I'm mostly active on Instagram and Facebook, but you can find me everywhere. And while we're at it, if you are here today, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. I go live here at least every other Monday, and you can ask me questions while you're here and get answers live. So to start off, I like to go through magical merriment moments, which are what I call like things that you're grateful for, things that you got to experience, things that you're kind of noticing what was fun for you out in the real world. So I'd love to know things that you got to experience in the last few days, the last week, the last 2 weeks. It's also right now, it's the last day of the month. It's September 30th. That means that there's less than 100 days left in the year. And I think that's really cool to think about like what we're going to do with the remaining aspects of the year, how you're going to make it work for you. So these are some things that I took pictures of to document the magical merriment moments. I hosted a fall workshop at my house, and we took some fun pictures. We meditated, we painted gourds, we did leaf rubbings. I gave everybody a goodie bag. It was really fun. And that was one of the pictures of us like wearing like the big glasses and stuff. I also found this Jurassic Park Jeep out in the wild. I thought that was really fun. I think that's merriment making in and of itself right there. And then I met a new friend, and I took her with me to the Hippodrome, and we saw the play off-Broadway musical and Juliet, which is a reimagining of Romeo and Juliet. Okay, so I'd love for you to share in the chat, if you're here, what you have experienced in the past week, to check in with yourself. And now I'm going to move on to this just in, sharing good news. So something that I saw that made me happy out in the wild was this like smiley face balloon that was just kind of attached to this scooter, and it was just blowing in the wind, and I thought that was really cute. I don't know what it was, but it made me smile. And I mean, I don't know if somebody did that and they left it or they did it on purpose to inspire joy, but I thought it was really beautiful. And then out in the world at large, here's a good news story that I wanted to share. In Richmond, Virginia, there's a company called Plenty Unlimited, and they have opened the world's first indoor strawberry farm. And what's unique about this is they are utilizing artificial intelligence, AI, to make it possible to grow produce of any kind really with peak season flavor. Like, you know how you get a berry or a tomato or something, and it depends on what part of the year it's in, and it doesn't taste as good. So they can make that year round from anywhere in the world pretty much, and they're using 97% less land because they're building it vertically, and 90% less water than conventional farming. And it's like, this is what AI is for, you know? This is really, really cool. This can actually really change architecture, agriculture, so many things, and really feed the world, literally. So I think that's very cool. So before we keep going, make sure you hit that like button on the video. That helps us make sure that as many people are getting this message as possible, and everyone deserves to have the happy life of their dreams. Every metric counts in this universe. Okay, so let's get into this week's topic, which is releasing your anger. So our goal today is to leave you feeling empowered to handle anger before it overwhelms you, to use it productively in your life. So before we jump in, let me know in the chat on a scale from 1 to 10 how easy it is for you to, or easy to difficult, 1 being easy and 10 being difficult, for you to manage your anger. Let's get a feel for where you're at right now. Okay, so part 1, symptoms and anger and irritation. So let's start by identifying what anger and irritation feel like. You might be dealing with irritability, impatience, restlessness, or feeling moody, and maybe you can't concentrate or you feel annoyed by little things. Sometimes it's physical, you know, you get a fast heartbeat, you start to feel tense. You might even actually break out into, a rash or hives. You start to feel itchy. There's all sorts of kinds of physical symptoms that happen, and those are really important to be able to identify. So do a quick check-in. What kind of physical or emotional symptoms do you notice when you start to get angry or irritated? Okay, and we're at a 9 here, so that's difficulty, having a lot of difficulty with anger and irritability. Okay, so check in the chat, like, what physical or emotional symptoms do you feel like, are you able to notice when you are starting to get angry, or you've even stayed angry for a little bit? What kinds of symptoms do you notice that you start to get physically? And you might not be able to notice yet, and that's okay too. But all of these are very common. They're natural, they're normal for you to experience, and it's really, really, really important to be aware of these symptoms, because these are signals that our body is giving us things that it's going to escalate. It's a warning. It's absolutely a warning. Like, I like to akin it to, if you're having an allergy, like I break out if I'm wearing different types of metal, right? So if I were to ignore that, if I were to ignore the fact that I was getting a hive, I get like skin stuff all the time. And if I were to ignore that hive and just keep wearing it, at a certain point, I mean, I'm not 100% positive that I would get like gangrene and my arm would need to be chopped off, but there's a certain scientific method to the fact that, I mean, it's itching, right? Because it's like something wrong is happening, and I take it off, and then I address it, and I don't wear that thing any longer. But if I weren't to do that and I were to keep wearing it, I would keep itching, and then it would get into a bigger rash, and then I would maybe keep itching and itching more, and then I would scratch myself, and then it would just turn into a wound. And then the allergy is trying to warn you, like, you get itchy first, right? And then it gets worse and worse and worse. And if you don't treat something, it inflames, and it rejects from your system, and it falls off. Like, you eventually will have to get it amputated, is the point, right? So your anger, these physical symptoms are actually they are trying to warn you, hey, something is wrong, something is happening, and you need to address what's happening. Increased blood pressure, neck shoulder tightness. Yes, exactly. You can feel that increased blood pressure, and I think that we know what that feels like, but if you can even go deeper and explain to yourself the micro symptoms of that, like, does that feel like tightness in your chest? Does it feel like rapid heartbeat? Does it feel like faster breathing? If you can even start to become more aware of the smaller symptoms, then the more micro you can get with those smaller symptoms, the better you can be at being like, oops, okay, I don't need to get full-blown increased blood pressure. As soon as I know that this little thing is happening, I can back off of this, right? Okay. So being able to recognize them is a major, major step one in managing our emotions. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, and Lydia, you're here from the Merriment Makers, but if you're watching this or if you're watching the replay, if you're not in the Merriment Makers, I have one of my favorite modules in the Merriment Makers is about anger. And that might seem counterintuitive, but I think needing to acknowledge and address all emotions of the human spectrum is so deeply important for us to be able to experience joy as much as humanly possible, right? So anger is something that prevents us from experiencing and accessing our joy. And most of us have a lot of anger, and a lot of it is residual. A lot of it is based on resentment. A lot of it is because we are not living the life that we want to live. And sometimes that's actually because we aren't doing the things that we know that we should be doing. That's maybe another topic, but regardless, the anger module in the Merriment Makers, this particular topic, there's an entire workbook about how to identify your triggers with like a thermometer, and it goes through all the steps. And there's actually 4 separate masterclasses and workbooks about how to, about how to go through all of these different kinds of ways to deal with your anger, whether it's holistic, whether it's like tapping into your anger, whether it's developing your communication style of anger. So, I mean, if you're watching this as a Merriment Maker, or you're thinking that that's something that you need to address in your own life, this is calling to you, this is the reason that you started watching, I really do encourage you to go check out the Merriment Makers, because it's just that module will change the way that you access things. So, I mean, Lydia, you're here right now. If you haven't checked out the anger module inside of the Merriment Makers, go do that. There's so much stuff in there. This is an overview, and this is a great place to start, but please go check out everything that's inside there. Okay, so part 2 that we're going to talk about today is perspective shifts. So we've talked about the awareness of just being able to be like, okay, so I know that what happens is when I get angry, I have, increased blood pressure, sweat, I get tight, I breathe differently, right? Okay, that's great. But what happens, what's making that happen, right? What's happening that's making that happen? So think about the moments that you feel like stuff is setting you off. So how are you reacting? So often our expectations and or our communication patterns contribute to how we are responding. So we can shift our perspective to help de-escalate situations. So first, a basic trick to do this, maybe not basic, but one of my favorite tricks to do this is to imagine that your best friend is in the same scenario. Okay, it sounds super basic, it sounds super simple, and it also will potentially change the way that you're reacting to something in real time. What's hard to do is to do it in real time. Most of the time we have this like knee-jerk reaction in the moment, and then we get home and we're like, okay, that was that was maybe a little bit a lot, right? But if you can begin to practice empathy and perspective and zooming out as much as you can in the moment for circumstances, things, people, then you can develop a pause. And that's really the most that you need is a pause. So I'm running a couple plates in the air right now, so let me explain all of them. When something happens that sets you off, I want you to imagine like the fact that you're being triggered by it, right? So your boss says something to you, your partner does something that doesn't align with what you want to happen. Anything that's happening that is making you angry is an irritation that is not aligning with your values. At the end of the day, anger is something that is an expectation that is not aligning with your values, right? A real life thing that you don't appreciate because you expected something different because you have values and you're like, this is what I like, this is what I want to happen, and it doesn't align with the reality that I prefer. Because, think about politics, right? There are so many things that other people are doing, other people are wanting, other people are saying, other people are putting money towards that you think are crazy, right? And those things make you angry, but they're making other people happy. So that's literally the example of perspective. So something that makes you angry makes other people happy. And I want you to remember that. So that's the first thing, is that your perspective is your perspective. So anything that's making you angry is something that can make someone else happy. So anytime that you're angry, it is an out of alignment with your preference, perspective, and value, which is a call to action. If you are angry about something, it means that you need to do something. You don't just treat the symptom, you treat the injury. So if you're really angry about something, it's not just being like, oh. It's like, okay, well, if this really bothers me, then maybe I need to put my money where my mouth is. Maybe I need to have a deeper conversation about this. Maybe I need to move out of this neighborhood. Maybe I need to change this neighborhood, like whatever it is. Okay, now I have more plates in the air. Okay, now when your boss or your partner does something that annoys you, that frustrates you, that irritates you, remember that it is something that you didn't expect to happen because you assume that other people are going to behave in a way that aligns with the reality that you prefer based on your preferences, based on your values, okay? And now they haven't. And now I want you to imagine that this exact same thing is happening to your best friend, someone that you love. And if you don't know who that is right now, just imagine that it's me, okay? A tangible thing that you can imagine, me, okay? So now your boss is talking to me, your partner is talking to me like that. They've done this thing that's atrocious, annoying, frustrating, ridiculous, disrespectful, whatever. And I want you to simultaneously imagine the fact that things just are. There is technically no morality. There is technically no right or wrong. The things that make people angry, that same exact thing, also make other people happy. You just have your preferences, you have your values, you have your morality. And what advice would you give them? What advice would you give your best friend? What advice would you give me as an objective third party? Would you tell them, even with considering your morals, your values, your integrity, your preferences, your perspective, what would you tell them to do? Would you be like, I mean, really though, is this going to ruin your day? Are you going to let this ruin your day? Are you going to quit over this? Are you going to break up over this? Is this worth a lot of your energy? I feel like maybe you're blowing this out of proportion. Did you need to yell at them? Did you need to do that? Why are you doing this? Right? So giving that, like, thinking about how you would tell someone else to do something is a really good exercise for yourself to do towards your own scenario. Diagnosing someone else, giving advice to someone else, because God, we love to do that, right? We love to judge other people. We love to give advice to other people and think that we know what's best for other people. And often we do. We just don't do it for ourselves. So it becomes difficult to do immediately for ourselves in the moment. So what you can do is start doing that at the end of the day. You can start having a journaling exercise or an auditory exercise that you do out loud at the end of the day and go through the scenarios that made you upset. And then imagine that those are things that you would give, do this as a thought exercise as you're imagining it's me or your best friend and being like, okay, what would I have told them to do? And then slowly, I want you to try your very, very hardest in the moment to be like, this is what I should do right now. And you can have a word that you say. You can have like a click, like, something that you do, like a totem. You can have like a rock that you hold. You can have a necklace that you wear. And And that's what the trigger worksheet is helpful to do. That's what noticing what the steps are that happen, the physical things. So it's like noticing those little micro things that are making you feel that way. You start to have a conditioned response to being like, okay, shoulder tightness means I need to start thinking zoomed out. Shoulder tightness means I need to start thinking advice towards my best friend. Shoulder tightness means I need to walk away. Shoulder tightness means I need to stop acting like a bitch, right? Like that's how that starts to work. So you start to be like, okay, trigger is coming after trigger has come as a result of this physical symptom. So that means that I need to zoom out. I need to walk away. I need to do whatever. And there's like a bunch of different techniques that are in the anger module that'll help you with that. Okay, so right now in the chat, I want you to think about like, are you shifting your perspective when you're feeling angry? Is that something that you're able to do? How are you doing it? And if you do have a method, tell us. And remember to like assign purpose to your situation. Think about also maybe in your thought exercise what your experience is trying to teach you. Remember that if you look far enough back at something, you can have gratitude for it. You can be like, oh, well, you know, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have this. If I didn't go down this road, I wouldn't have learned that. So using that approach also helps you to, in the moment, something that I've been able to do over time is be able to laugh at things that are happening in the moment. I've been able to become so chill about a lot of things, not everything. I'm deeply human. But a lot of things, especially when I'm out in the world, like outside with people, with strangers, with things that are happening, I used to get so stressed about everything. And now it's like most of the time, I just will actually laugh. I'm like, why are you so stressed about this? Why are you so stressed? We are on a spinning rock. We're on a spinning rock in outer space that we do not understand. It's crazy. It's actually crazy what we're doing here. We have no idea. We all have no idea. And you're so upset about this. And instead of needing to wait a day or 10 years to look back and laugh, I'm laughing in the moment. And that's what I want for you. I want all of us to be able to laugh in the moment and be able to see the absurdity and be in on this cosmic joke of life and be able to be that level of unserious about this. Okay, so part 3, let's move on to relaxation. We've all heard it, to take deep breaths, to meditate, but I want to share some more techniques with you today that maybe you haven't tried before. So for example, did you know that breathing in through your non-dominant nostril can actually help calm you down? So you can figure out which one is your dominant nostril by like breathing in and figuring out which one you're getting more air through, and then try to breathe and then hold the other one down, the one that you're getting less air through, and breathe in through that nose and do some deep breathing through that nose. And that can help calm you down. You can also put your legs up the wall to relieve muscle tension and calm your nervous system. And there's actually a bunch more tips in the Anxious to Awesome seminar that you can access on my website, uncustomary.org. And that's also available inside the Merriment Makers. So, and in the anger module, there's literally a whole workbook full of them. So think about what you're doing to calm yourself down. And these things need to be proactive and reactive. Okay. So things like meditating aren't for everybody. I think deep breathing needs to be for everybody, but some people don't have a positive reaction to meditating. It's a very small percentage, but I just want to be aware that there's options for everyone. And some of us need to do like, butterfly tap. Some of us need to tap. Some of us need to rock. Some of us we're all different, right? It's not a one size fits all approach for everything. And I want you to think about proactive and reactive. Okay. So proactive stuff is stuff that you're doing daily. In the Merriment Makers, we talk about I just did a podcast on this, right? On having, bookending your day with happiness rituals, right? So things that you're constantly putting yourself in the way of: beauty, art, muses, happiness, positivity, positive media, feel good stuff. And that way it's much less possible for you to be so angry, so resentful, so bitter, so depressed. Because if you're doing these rituals, if you're constantly like updating your system to reprogram yourself to release the negativity and increase the positivity and bookend your day at the very minimum, let alone doing thought work throughout the day and filling yourself up with like positive affirmations and positive podcasts and things like this, and taking time to work on your own evolution and giving a damn, then yeah, I mean, it's much less likely that you're going to fall down a slippery slope of feeling sad, not circumstantially, but like over time, chronically. And so that's like proactive stuff that you're doing to set your body up for both hyping yourself up and soothing your nervous system. So things like meditating is an option. And, you know, doing things like that make it more likely that when you experience adversity out in the world, you are going to laugh it off. And there are things that when you have a really bad fight with your best friend or partner, you're going to get really upset and you need something to help calm you down. I'm not saying you have to get upset. I'm saying it's more likely, right? Because the more you care, the more likely you are to get upset. So you need something that's reactive to help calm you down. Right? You need something that's self-care based to be like, I need a go-to relaxation technique to calm down in the moment. And that's the kind of stuff that's reactive. Lydia's saying the thing I do is stretch my fingers out as far as I can. That's good. I love that. Yes, thank you for sharing. Whether it's deep breaths, a body scan, pushing your palms together is also really good. This helps with proprioception. These methods can all help us relieve built-up tension. Okay, let's look at holistic approaches. So beyond traditional relaxation methods, there are more holistic approaches. So these are fun and often overlooked strategies that can calm the mind and the body. So for instance, you can roll your tongue clockwise against the front of your mouth for 30 seconds. So like, is this porn? I'm not sure. So you kind of have to like keep it touched. You know what I mean? Like you're keeping it touched on the surface and you're going clockwise. I feel like watching myself do it is making me not be able to do it. So that's one technique. I'm not going to keep doing it for 30 seconds. You can also place your hand on your heart or both of them and do that for 30 seconds. This is very calming and it releases oxytocin. You can also give yourself a hug, rocking. I mentioned the butterfly taps. I know they sound unusual, but they work. It's physiological. So try any of these and tell us what like sounds the most interesting to you. And drop a heart emoji if you feel like you're curious in trying one. And give one of them a try and see how it feels. And if you're new here, you can try the Anxious to Awesome seminar. That one's free at uncustomary.org. And I think you can actually just go to uncustomary.org/anxiety. And also you can just check out the Merriment Makers for access to the anger module and everything else that we're talking about. Okay. And the last part here that we're going to talk about today is anger disruption and expression. So sometimes we need to disrupt our anger by doing something totally different. So disrupting that loop of frustration, right? Because it looks different for everybody. Sometimes we're frustrated, sometimes we're bitter, sometimes we're angry, sometimes we're furious. There's levels, right? But sometimes we identify differently. And we need to disrupt that. And we can do that with activities, with fun, with play, and give ourselves like a reset, like restarting our phone or unplugging it and replugging it in. And maybe this is doing like looking at animal pictures or listening to music or doing something as simple as saying the ABCs backwards. You know, it can be something that is distracting and it's not that we're necessarily bypassing the feeling, right? There's a whole embodiment module in the Merriment Makers where we are purposefully, it's the first thing that I tell you to do in order to go through the embodiment module so that you know how to somatically be aware of all of your emotions, including anger. It's not that we're bypassing it. It's just that sometimes we are we're angry for reasons that are silly, right? Like we're angry about like something breaking or a neighbor being nosy or like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes we get angry and it's not really about that. And it's just like that we had a bad day and we let it escalate and it's not helping us. And what we need to do is release it. So sometimes we need to distract ourselves and move on with our day. And sometimes we don't have the time realistically to tap into that anger. You know, as much as I absolutely believe in the embodiment and release of and the addressing of the root of all emotions, we do live in a real world where maybe you have your kids with you and it's not going to be good to shout and scream and cuss and all of that stuff in front of a toddler, or you're at a board meeting or something and it's like that's not, I hate the word appropriate, but you know what I mean, it's not the place. And that is what the embodiment module is for. It's so that you can create a weekly process where you go into a safe space and go through all of your emotions and feel through your feelings and emotions and process them in a way that is like you're not building stuff up over years and developing tumors and cancer. You're releasing it and processing it and going through it, you know? So sometimes we do need to distract ourselves and move on with our day. And whether that's because it's not the time or the place, or it's because it's like, oh, that was something stupid and I'm being dumb, then maybe you just need to say the ABCs backwards or look at some memes, you know? That's okay. Sometimes it's okay. So distraction and disruption is okay. And other times, some of us, especially women, have been told that we are needing to be good girls our whole lives. And there's a whole part of this in the anger module too about good girl complex. And we need to tap into anger and let it out because we have been told that it is not appropriate. It is not cute. It is not attractive. We will never get a partner that way. We are good girls, and the only way that good girls are worthy is to be nice, be polite. And that does not include anger. Anybody like that? Anybody been told that? So if that is you, in the anger module, there's a whole section, Good Girl Complex. And there are resources and tools and tangible activities for you to figure out how to tap into your anger. Now, maybe that looks like writing a letter that you're never going to send, ripping up paper, screaming into a pillow, going to an axe throwing place. Like, I don't know. The important thing is to express it rather than letting it build up. But I will tell you that the transition of anger is not, the transformation of anger is not to usually like it out. It's peace. Anger doesn't need to always come out in a way that's like, oh, I need to tell someone something. Because really, if you think about, a good example is traffic, right? If you're angry about traffic, sitting in traffic, and you honk your horn, people get more angry. There's more aggression. And you yourself get more angry. Now, what you can do is breathe and accept the fact that you are in traffic, that you are part of traffic, and you can listen to an audiobook and enjoy and play in the car while you're there, and appreciate the fact that we even have cars on highways, right? So most of the time, I don't recommend tapping into anger. What I recommend is acknowledging why you're angry, figuring out what the value that feels conflicted to you is, and figuring out a way to, quote, fix that for yourself and communicating that and taking action on it. The same way that jealousy is a call to action, anger is a call to action. And you won't feel fully powerful, autonomous, or expressed until you acknowledge why you're angry and do something about it. Tapping into anger is more of something that I recommend for people who have been told they are not allowed to be angry their whole lives. And it's powerful. You can't stop somebody when they're angry, but sometimes we overcorrect boundaries and we stay angry for a little bit too long. So If you have a favorite way to disrupt or express your anger, I'd love to hear it. You can share it in the chat and people can learn from you too. And if you have any questions that you would like to be personally coached on, you can put them in the chat, and I'm going to go through some other things right now, and I will get to you in a second. So before we wrap up and I give you your homework, your affirmations, and the Merriment Missions deck pull assignment, I want to remind you about something truly special, which I've been mentioning this entire time, which is the Merriment Makers. So if you're loving what we're talking about today and you're ready for more support and connection and personal growth, this is the place for you. It's a community where we dive deep into this topic, into all of these topics, including anger, and there's personalized coaching, fun activities, and a ton of merriment. So there's offer details here. You can see that there's 30 modules, there's master classes, there's this changed. This is so funny. I don't know why the slideshow is different, but that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna take this up. I don't know why the slideshow is so different. That's very funny. Okay, so there's 30 modules that are ready. There are now I'm all thrown off. There's 30 modules that are ready to go. There's 8 new ones every month. I'm a mess right now. Hold on 1 second. There's like a cat fur in my another benefit is that I'm not a robot. Okay. Okay. There's 30 modules that you get instant access to. They're easy to follow at your own pace. There's 8 new modules a year, and they have things like masterclasses, EFT tapping, podcasts, high vibe meditations, workbooks, art, phone backgrounds, positive affirmations, playlists, Pinterest boards, resource kits, journaling prompts, audio, visual trainings, worksheets, really any way that you learn, there's a way to learn in here. There's daily downloads. There's 3 new things that come in at least every single day inside of the Facebook group. And there's also a custom dashboard. There's good news texts that come to your phone. There's a happy letter that comes to your house monthly. I just made all the Halloween mail that's going to go out. I'm very excited. There's a Q&A and group coaching every 6 weeks. There's a birthday card and a membership card that comes to your house when you join. There's 24/7 chat and a community in the Facebook group. And the group is really, really good. It's awesome. You can honestly stay in there for years. There's so much content. Plus you get access to my book and all of my Zodiac personal development workshops, which are worth over $1,000. And I'll just say it. I just put in 2 new courses that were only accessible on Teachable, which has been down for, disabled Teachable over a year ago. So these haven't been accessible for a while. And I have just been completely re-updating my signature e-course that I made 10 years ago, the Self-Love 101 Key to Happiness class, and my Body Positivity Advanced class. So together, that's worth I haven't even done the math on that. I mean, $300 at least. So that's worth just 1 month at least of your subscription. And I went through and I made it all look better, and that's in there now. Nobody knows that. I'm just saying that for the first time now. My social media manager doesn't even know. I haven't had my meeting with her yet. I worked my ass off this weekend. So those are in there now, and it looks really good. And honestly, I just keep putting more and more stuff in there because I spoil the crap out of the Merriment Makers. It's my favorite thing that I've done. It's my life's work. And when I was doing some video testimonials, one of my girls, Jen, that's been in there for 8 years now, she said, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You can't tell from being out there, like from the outside until you're in there, how much stuff is in there. But once you're in there, you could stay for years. Like the same way that I say, if I left now, I could never see every street if I was traveling for the rest of my life. I kind of feel like that's how it is about the Merriment Makers. There's over 1,000 resources in there. And you can save $100 on your first month now, and you can save 50% off your entire year if you book annually. Okay. So yeah, if you're ready to join in a group of amazing people who are all working on their self-love, confidence, and living life to the fullest, now is the perfect time. Head on over to uncustomary.org to sign up. And, we were talking about the anger today. And look, I pulled some of the things from the anger module and put them right here just so you can see. Anger 101 masterclass, reframing anger masterclass, tapping into anger masterclass, and those all come with specific workbooks. There's also a calm down kit, a releasing anger meditation, EFT tapping for releasing fear around anger, the sword archetype, use your anger to fuel your optimism, anger triggers worksheet. That was what I was talking about with the thermometer. There's 4 out there in the world challenges. There's phone backgrounds, art posters, desktop backgrounds, inspirational quote images. There's positive affirmations and images. There's a Pinterest board, playlist, bonus affirmations, and it's just, there's so much stuff in there. And this is just one module. There's at least 30 more modules. It's a lot of stuff, okay? And there's bonus stuff all over the place, plus more courses. Okay, so here are your positive affirmations for today. Repeat these with me. I let go of what I can't change. Say it again. I let go of what I can't change. I let go of what I can't change. And let's say this one too. Expressing my anger with respect is healthy. Expressing my anger with respect is healthy. Expressing my anger with respect is healthy. Okay, now your homework today is to make a calm down kit. Now, if you're in the Merriment Makers, you have access to a thing that walks you through how to do this with like 40 ideas of what to put in there. And you can actually also buy this specific resource a la carte on my Etsy. So you can find that at uncustomary.org, and you can just go to my shop and find that. But if you want to just do this on your own, the idea is to have a kit. I love kits. I love like having tangible resources so that when you're having a freak out, you don't have to think. It's pre-made for you. So you could have things in there like, fidget toys that are easy for you to calm down yourself with, have affirmations in there, have like a coloring book, have something good to listen to, have something like cuddly. And you just put it in a bag or a box, and the thing that you got to remember is to use it, right? So you just write like calm down kit on it. And when you're not having a good day, you just pull it out and there's ready to go resources in there for you. So that's your homework, is to make a calm down kit. Okay. And then your last bonus assignment is from my Merriment Missions deck. This is available for purchase on my website. You can go to uncustomary.org and then find the deck. And this is 111 ideas for embodying, creating, and spreading joy in the real world. And the deck is divided into 7 types of activities: celebrating, creating, exploring, playing, movement, self-care, and kindness. And you draw a card to go create good news. So there's 7 different shapes, and they all correlate to those different categories. It is a rainbow deck. Super colorful. I love it. And the card that I pulled for you today is to dance on top of bubble wrap. And I think that this serves 2 purposes. I think popping bubble wrap can feel like it's releasing tension. And if you're looking to culminate more peace, I think that dancing, it boosts your endorphins, it moves you around, and you can like flow to different kinds of music and make yourself feel more peaceful. But popping bubble wrap is a stress reliever for on the go as well. And I think that's really fun. So you can get that deck at uncustomary.org/ I think it's missions deck, but I don't know. Just check out uncustomary.org and go up to the toolbar and you will find it. Oh, it's right here. uncustomary.org/merriment deck, and the QR code is right here. Look, I already did it for myself. Heyo. Okay, so don't forget to check out the Merriment Makers. Remember, you can save $100 on your first month or 50% off for the entire year, and it's more fun to do with a friend. So if you know somebody who you think is all about feeling good and doing good, and they're loving, creating their life and having a really wonderful life that they want to live to the fullest. I mean, how much more fun would this be to do with a friend and come to these things with a friend and do journaling together and go out and do adventures in the world together? Oh my gosh, that would be so much more fun. So tell them about this, like this video, hit the like button on the chat, hit any like button that you can, share this video on your social media. That means so much to me. And as we wrap up today, I just want to remind you that managing anger and irritation is a journey. I mean, it's just nonlinear, right? So it's not about never getting angry. It's about learning how to respond to just anger when we do get angry, to your emotions. We talked about recognizing symptoms, shifting perspectives, relaxing, holistic approaches, and ways to disrupt and express your anger. And again, there's 40 times more of those inside of the Merriment Makers and the anger module. And I just want to let's reflect on one final reflection. So what are you taking away from today? What is one thing that you want to try the next time that you're angry? Do that for not just for me, but for yourself. Share it in the chat, declare it for yourself. What is something that you want to change for yourself about anger, about the way that you're responding, about the way that you are approaching irritation, about the way that you are approaching anger and things that happen to you when you're angry? What do you want to do differently? Make sure that you know that. Make sure that you declare it. What is one thing that you took away from today that you're going to do differently now? Write it down, say it 3 times, and then become it. And you can. Everything is possible. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your experiences. If you found today helpful, be sure to let me know in the comments. And again, if you have specific questions, now's the time. If you want to dive deeper into any of these topics, please reach out, and I am available for coaching. You get a discount if you sign up for coaching within the Merriment Makers, but otherwise you can find coaching with me at uncustomary.org, and you're doing amazing work by taking steps towards managing these emotions. And remember that most people are not doing this, so just by being here, you are just amazing. I'm so proud of you. I will see you in another 2 weeks for another Merriment Mondays live. Look out for the next topic, and you have to feel good to do good. Take care. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad that you needed this today and that you enjoyed it. I love you. I love you. I love you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.